The patrol car's engine idled rough, a low mechanical tremor running through the frame like a nervous tick. Heat rose off the asphalt in wavering lines. Somewhere behind the cruiser, a dog barked once and then went quiet again. "Step out of the vehicle." The voice came calm but tight. Sergeant Mark Halpern stood beside the open driver's door of the Honda Civic, his thumb hooked into the front pocket of his vest like he had all the time in the world. His other hand rested near his radio. The woman behind the wheel didn't move right away. She was in her 30s, maybe late 30s, dark hair pulled back loosely, one hand still on the steering wheel. "I already showed you my license," she said. Halpern nodded once. "Yeah." His body cam blinked red on his chest. "Step out of the vehicle." Across the hood, Officer Bryce Kavanaugh shifted his weight, younger, watching carefully. The woman exhaled slowly through her nose, not angry, not scared exactly either. "Just tired." "Sergeant," she said, glancing briefly at the badge stitched above his name plate, "what's the reason for the stop again?" Halpern's mouth pulled sideways. "Failure to signal." "I signaled." "That's not how I saw it." The humidity wrapped the street like a damp blanket. Cicadas buzzed somewhere in the trees lining the narrow residential block. The woman's gaze drifted once to the body cam. Then back to Halpern. "Okay." She opened the door. When her feet touched the pavement, Halpern noticed the way she stood, balanced, deliberate, like someone used to rooms where every movement got noticed. "What's in the trunk?" he asked casually. "Groceries." "You mind if we take a look?" "Yes." The word came easy. Halpern smiled thinly. "That's not how this works. It is if you don't have probable cause." For a moment no one spoke. Kavanaugh glanced between them. Halpern leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You wanna make this harder than it needs to be." The woman met his eyes. "No," she said quietly, "but you already are." A police scanner crackled faintly from inside the cruiser. "Dispatch traffic, distant units checking in." Halpern straightened. "Turn around," he said. "What for?" "Obstruction." "That's not." He grabbed her wrist. The motion was quick and practiced. Kavanaugh stepped forward automatically. The woman didn't resist, but the moment Halpern pulled her hands behind her back, she turned her head slightly. "You might want to think about this," she said. Halpern clicked the cuffs closed. The metal sounded louder than it should have. "Yeah," he said. Her eyes flicked once more to the body cam. "You might want to turn that off first." The comment hung there strange and flat. Halpern paused. Just a fraction too long. Then he laughed softly. "Cute." The cuffs tightened another notch. "Let's get you in the car." 3 weeks earlier, the air inside the 8th Precinct evidence room smelled like cardboard and dust. Detective Elena Morales stood near the long metal shelving units, flipping through a stack of inventory logs. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Across the room, evidence tech Walter Singh leaned back in his chair with a cup of coffee balanced on his stomach. "You're looking in the wrong month," he said. Elena didn't look up. "I checked March." "Then it's April." "No," she said, "it's not." She slid another binder open. The case file sat on the metal table beside her, a homicide from 6 months earlier, an overdose turned suspicious. A name that hadn't sat right with her since the day the case closed. Jard Connolly. 22, no priors, college dropout. Official cause, fentanyl poisoning. Unofficially, half the detectives in the building thought the kid had gotten mixed up with the wrong dealer. But the autopsy photos told a stranger story. There had been bruising on the wrists. Not defensive wounds exactly. More like restraint marks. Singh rolled his chair closer. "You're digging again," he said. "I'm checking chain of custody. For a closed case." "Yeah." Singh sipped his coffee. "You ever get the feeling you're the only one still reading the reports?" Elena smiled faintly. "Most people stop once the paperwork's done." He shrugged. Paperwork's the job. She pulled a plastic evidence bag from the shelf. Inside sat the phone recovered from Connolly's apartment. It should have been logged to digital forensics. But according to the inventory sheet, it had never left evidence. Elena turned the bag over. The tag had a different signature. Not Singh's. Not the usual text either. Just initials. MH. She stared at it a moment. Walter, she said quietly. Singh leaned forward. What? She pointed. You remember Sergeant Halpern pulling evidence from homicide. Singh frowned. Halpern patrolled. Yeah. He shook his head. Not unless he had a warrant request or something. Elena's finger traced the initials again. MH. The timestamp on the log. 3 days after Connolly's death. No accompanying report. No transfer record. Just the initials. And a missing chain entry. Singh looked uneasy now. That's weird. Elena nodded. Yeah. Outside the evidence room, someone laughed down the hallway. Normal precinct noise. Phones ringing, chairs rolling. But Elena kept staring at those initials. Because something about them felt less like a mistake. And more like someone hopping nobody would notice. Halpern noticed her a week later. She was standing near the coffee machine in the bullpen, reading something on a tablet. Not dressed like patrol. Not quite like admin either. Plain blazer. Detective shield clipped to her belt. Morales. He'd seen her around before. Quiet type. Didn't socialize much. But lately she'd been drifting through areas she didn't normally work. Evidence. Records. Even the property cage downstairs. Halpern stirred powdered creamer into his coffee. Detective. She looked up. Sergeant. Working late. Looks like you are too. He smiled. Paperwork never ends. She studied him for a second longer than casual conversation required. Then she nodded. True. Halpern took a sip. You digging into Connolly? Her eyebrows lifted slightly. Why would you think that? Just heard chatter. From who? He shrugged. Building talks. Morales set her tablet down on the counter. You ever pull evidence on that case? The question came soft. Almost polite. Halpern's smile didn't move. Why would I? She turned the tablet around. On the screen sat the inventory log. His initials. The timestamp. Halpern's chest tightened just enough that he felt it. But his voice stayed easy. Looks like a clerical error. Maybe. You know how those get. Yeah, she said. For a moment neither of them moved. Then Halpern picked up his coffee. Well, he said, hope you find whatever you're looking for. Morales watched him walk away. The thing about cops she'd learned over 12 years was that most of them told the truth with their shoulders. The way they held themselves when something small caught them off guard. Halpern hadn't flinched. But he had stopped breathing for a half second. And that was enough. The first real problem surfaced 2 days later. The phone from Connolly's evidence bag was gone. Not misplaced. Gone. The bag still sat on the shelf. Empty. Elena stood there staring at it while Singh flipped through logs behind her. That's impossible, he said. Apparently not. Who signed it out? No one. Singh swore under his breath. Elena's mind ran through timelines. The missing entry. Halpern's initials. The kid's death. Something cold settled into her stomach. Because phones didn't vanish from evidence unless someone wanted whatever was inside them to disappear too. And whoever did it knew the system well enough to hide the trail. Singh looked at her. You gonna flag internal affairs? Not yet. Why not? Elena glanced down the hallway. Patrol officers walked past, someone joked about a bar after shift. Normal life in the building. Because if this is what I think it is, she said quietly, they'll bury it before we even finish the paperwork. Singh frowned. So what's the play? Elena closed the evidence bag. The plastic crinkled softly in her hands. We find out why Halpern touched that case. And if he did. She looked at him. Then someone wants it to look like he did. The humidity grew heavier each night that week. Storm clouds rolling in from the Gulf but never quite breaking. Elena started watching Halpern. Not obviously. Just small things. What shifts he worked. Who he talked to. Which reports passed through his hands. And slowly a pattern began to form. It wasn't in the arrests. Or the citations. It was in the stops that never made paperwork. Vehicles searched. People detained. No charges filed. But certain names kept surfacing. Low-level dealers. Confidential informants. And once in a while someone who ended up dead a few weeks later. Overdoses mostly. Always fentanyl. One night Elena sat in her car outside a convenience store 2 blocks from Connolly's old apartment. The neon sign buzzed overhead. Across the street Halpern's patrol unit rolled past slowly. He didn't see her. But she watched him turn down an alley that patrol logs said he never entered. 10 minutes later he came back out. Alone. And for the first time since she'd opened that evidence binder, Elena felt the shape of something real forming beneath the paperwork. Something ugly. Something the department had no interest in seeing. She started the engine. And followed.